Today we are discussing about pumps. Pumps are also known as transporters, or they can be also known as transmembrane proteins. Transmembrane proteins means these proteins move through the plasma membrane. That is, they are moving or they remain within the plasma membrane. That's why we call them as transmembrane proteins. And why we call them as transporters? Because they help in an exchange of the substance, exchange of the ions, exchange of the solutes across the plasma membrane. On the basis of that, we also call them as transporters. Actually, these pumps are proteins which are located within the plasma membrane. Now, these pumps, they actively transport ions and solutes. They actually transport ions and solutes across the plasma membrane. Across the plasma membrane against the concentration gradient. Against the concentration gradient. This is very important point. That is, these pumps, they actually means they use ATP. That means they use energy. They actively transport ions and solutes across the plasma membrane against the concentration gradient. Means they transfer them from lower concentration to higher concentration. Now these pumps, they are mainly responsible for generation of electrochemical gradient. This is very important point. Electrochemical gradient simply means difference in a charges across the plasma membrane. Say for instance, if we are taking here a plasma membrane, so this is a plasma membrane here, and in a plasma membrane we have presence of extracellular matrix and we have intracellular matrix, and there is a difference in the charge in the extracellular matrix, in the intracellular matrix. Say sodium here is very high and potassium here is very high. So this leads to the positive charge onto the external membrane. Because of the high sodium, the 3 sodium are expelled out and 2 potassiums are taken in. Now the positive charge is also here, but here the negative charge is moved. Due to this, there is a generation of a charge difference across the membrane. We call that the electrochemical gradient. So we can say pumps are responsible for generation of electrochemical gradient. This electrochemical gradient, that is charge difference across the plasma membrane, is responsible for the generation of membrane potential. Membrane potential we will discuss in next chapter, that will be action potential. So membrane potential is mainly generated due to the difference in the electrochemical gradient. That means the charge will move from higher concentration to lower concentration, and because the sodium here is very high, this sodium will onto the external environment is very high. Sodium will lead to the positive charge, and here it will lead to the negative charge, and this positive and negative charge difference or charge difference across the membrane will lead to the formation of electrochemical gradient. That electrochemical gradient will generate the membrane potential. That membrane potential will help in the transfer of the message from one cell to the another cell, like in the case of the muscle, like in the case of the neurons. We'll study in the next chapter. Now, the very important thing that we have to keep in mind, that is different ion concentration across the plasma membrane. हम थोड़ा सा इसमें भी देखेंगे कि concentration of ions क्या है extracellular matrix में और intracellular matrix में. ये थोड़ा सा मैं आपको एक टेबल के अंदर दे दूंगा जो आपको याद भी रखना है और जरूरी भी है आपको याद करना है. You have to remember, it's very important because these things you have to keep in mind so that you can kept in mind where the concentration of the ions is very high and where the concentration of ions is very low. Say for instance, if we will take here a plasma membrane, so this is a plasma membrane here. Now, in a plasma membrane, we have external region, we call it the extracellular matrix. That is the space located external to the cell. And we have intracellular matrix. It's a space located within the cell, that is the cytoplasm of the cell. So we are taking a membrane, and in a membrane we have externally located extracellular matrix, and internally we have intracellular matrix. Now we will see the concentration of different ions across the plasma membrane. What is the concentration of ions in extracellular matrix, and what is the concentration of ions in an intracellular matrix? Say for instance, if we will make a table, one of the table here, say here we have to write down the ion name, then we have the extracellular matrix, then we have an intracellular matrix. Now say for instance, here we have a extracellular matrix, and here we have is an intracellular matrix. Now taking the first two here ion we are taking and we see its concentration. Say for instance, we will first take here is a sodium. Now the sodium ions in an extracellular matrix, their concentration is very high. That means sodium here is very high. Its concentration is very high in an extracellular matrix. That is about 145 millimolar. It's a concentration in the extracellular matrix, that is of the sodium, and it is about 5 to 15 millimolar in an intracellular matrix. So here the sodium ions are very low, but in extracellular matrix concentration is very high. Next one we have is a potassium. Taking the potassium, so we are taking here a potassium, and potassium it is less in extracellular matrix, about 5 millimolar. It is located in extracellular matrix, but intracellular matrix concentration is about 5 millimolar, 140 millimolar. So here we will take the next one, that is a potassium. If we will take a potassium concentration here is low, but potassium concentration here is very high. That means here the potassium concentration is 5 millimolar, and here it is about 140 millimolar. And sodium concentration here is very high, it is 145 millimolar, and here it is about 5 to 15 millimolar. You have to keep in mind. This is the chart, or we can say the ion concentration across the plasma membrane. That is, the ion concentration in the extracellular matrix and in an intracellular matrix. Next one we have is a chlorine. Chlorine is very high in extracellular matrix. It's about 110 millimolar, and is very less in intracellular. That's about 5 to 15 millimolar. So very less. So if we take here a chlorine, now taking the chlorine, its concentration is high externally, that is 110 millimolar, but its chlorine, its concentration is low internally, it is about 5 to 15 millimolar. You have to keep in mind. Taking the next one, we have the calcium ions. The calcium ions in an extracellular matrix, they are very high, about 1 to 2 millimolar. But in an intracellular, they are very less, about 10 raised to power 4 millimolar. You have to keep in mind, this calcium in the intracellular matrix is stored in smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So we can take here a calcium as well. So calcium in an extracellular matrix is very high. It's about 2 to 3 millimolar, 1 to 2 millimolar. And in the intracellular matrix, it's about 10 raised to power, very low here calcium. It is 10 raised to power minus 4 millimolar. Now the last one we have, that is a chlorine, that is a magnesium. It's also very less there. So if we take here a magnesium, so magnesium concentration in an extracellular matrix is about 1 to 2 millimolar, but in a intracellular matrix is about 0.5 millimolar. So it's also high externally. So magnesium here in an extracellular matrix is about 1 to 2 millimolar, but in an intracellular matrix, magnesium is very less, it is 0.5 millimolar. So this is the concentration difference of the different ions across the plasma membrane. This is a very important table which you have to keep in mind. That means sodium externally is very high, internal into the cell is very less. Potassium externally is very less, but within the cell is very high. Chlorine externally is very high, internally is very less. Calcium and magnesium externally are very high, but internally they are very less. So this is about the concentration of different ions across the plasma membrane. Now next thing we have to discuss is a p-type pump. We will study the different types of the pumps. Let's first we have a p-type pump, f-type pump, then we have ABC transporters. We will first study is a p-type pump. Now we have the first one which we had to discuss in detail is a p-type pumps. Now we have to first study what is actually the pump. You know about the transmembrane protein, but the very important thing is p-type pumps are multipass. They are multipass transmembrane proteins. What meant by multipass? Say for instance, I am making here a plasma membrane, and we have to show this membrane, this is a transmembrane, that means it's within the membrane. And multipass means it many times crosses the plasma membrane. If it is many, say this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not it is 5 times a multipass. It is 5 times crossing the plasma membrane. That's why we call it as a multipass transmembrane protein. Next thing, it is activated by the phosphorylation of aspartate residue. So we can say its activation is dependent of activation of p-type pumps. P-type pumps is due to phosphorylation of aspartate residue. Aspartate residue, that's amino acid. Because if you take this p-type pump or these pumps, they are transmembrane proteins, then they are proteins. And these proteins have a presence of aspartate residue. Say this is aspartate residue here located. Now this aspartate residue is phosphorylated. There is addition of phosphorus. And while from this phosphorus comes, it comes from ATP. And ATP is converted into ADP plus phosphate. That means this phosphate is added here. So it leads to the phosphorylation of aspartate residue, which leads to the activation of the p-type of pumps. The most important thing is if ATP is broken down here, then p-type pumps can be also known as ATPases. So these pumps are also known as ATPases. So you have kept in mind, phosphate is taken from ATP. So ATP acts as a source which donates its phosphate, so that phosphate gets added to the aspartate residue, which leads to the activation of the p-type of the pumps. One more important thing is p-type pumps can be also called as p-type pumps also act as ATPases. You have to keep in mind this very important thing. P-type pumps are also known as ATPases. Now we have different types of P-types of pumps. Why we call it ATPases? The important thing because there is a breakdown of ATP, and ATP is converted to ADP plus phosphate, and that phosphate added to the aspartate residue leads to the activation of the P-type of pump. We have different types of P-type of pumps, like we have a sodium potassium pump. This is the first pump, which is also a P-type of pump. Why we call it P-type? The reason is there is a phosphorylation. This phosphorylation makes it as a P-type pump. If anybody asks you why we call it as a P-type pump, The reason is phosphorylation of the aspartate residue. On the basis of that, we call it as a p-type pump. Second one we have, this sodium potassium pump, they are present in all cells. ये हर एक सेल में हम देखते हैं. Second one we have is a calcium pump. This calcium pump is mainly seen in smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Then we have hydrogen pump. This hydrogen pump is mainly seen in lysosomes. And then after we have the last one is a hydrogen potassium pump. This hydrogen potassium pump is mainly seen in gastric cells. So we have the various types of the p-types of the pumps, like we have sodium potassium pump, that is all cell, present in all cells. Calcium ion pumps, we are present in smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Then hydrogen ion pumps, it's present in lysosome. Then hydrogen potassium pumps, they are present in gastric cells. The most important thing is why we call them as a p-type of pumps. That is the reason due to the phosphorylation of aspartic acid. On the basis of this phosphorylation, they are called as a p-type of the pumps. Now tomorrow we discuss the first one in detail, that will be sodium potassium pump.